Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Today's first story is coming from the Bridezilla's subreddit from FlimsySet5049 and says bride is furious with sister after. My cousin, we'll call Laura, is getting married in 2 weeks. She has the perfect wedding planned. I myself am one of her bridesmaids along with 4 of her other closest friends, and her little sister, my cousin as well. Laura has been very vocal about her having to pick which friend to cut out of the bridal party to make room for her sister, who her parents asked to have in the wedding. At the dress fitting for our bridesmaids' dresses, my little cousin even said she felt bad her sister felt pressured, and even offered to just be a guest at the wedding. She just wanted her sister to be happy. Laura said she felt pressured by her parents, so she refused to object. She just made underhanded comments about her sister. About a week ago, my little cousin called me and said that she had been struggling with drinking and wanted to go away to get help. She said she knew the timing was horrible, but that she was scared of where her drinking was taking her, so we told the whole family together that day, and have since rallied around her and supported her going to get help. Now, this hasn't taken away from Laura at all. The wedding is still on, and we even had a bachelorette party this past weekend, which was a blast for everyone, especially for her. Even though she went on about how she could handle her drink, but her sister obviously couldn't. Laura's friends all sympathized with her about how her sister could have waited until after her wedding to ask for help. I should note that my cousin admitted before going into treatment that she'd been struggling for about a year. She'd been able to keep up quite the facade that she was okay because we were all caught off guard when she came forward. She said she'd been trying to hold on until after Laura's wedding, but that she physically couldn't do it anymore. I'm a nurse and I've seen what alcohol withdrawal can do to someone. The withdrawal is deadly, so I'm grateful my little cousin admitted she needed help and was willing and taking the steps to get it. I don't understand how my cousin can be so heartless through all of this. While the family has shown support of my little cousin, everyone is still just as much, if not more, surrounding Laura with all the attention she could possibly need. Emmy Jen says, wow, just wow. A family member admits they have a problem they drastically need help with, and they're shamed and pressured about the timing. I just can't imagine anyone being this disrespectful and this non-supportive. Laura is getting married. Yay for Laura, but her sister's physical and psychological needs could have waited. Laura needs to check her priorities. Her sister's need to step away will not impact her precious wedding day in any way, shape or form. Don't be like Laura. Opie responded saying, I honestly couldn't believe the way the other bridesmaids were talking and reassuring her that she was in the right the whole night. LV Mum says, and quoting, Laura said she felt pressured by her parents, so she refused to object. She just made an underhanded comment about her sister, and then says, Laura sounds like a massive bitch. I'm proud of her sister seeking help. I was a functional alcoholic for years, and I finally admitted I had a problem in May 2024. I managed to hold on until my son graduated a few weeks later. I knew I had to get help, but we had worked so hard to get that kid across the stage and I wasn't going to miss it. I entered a residential rehab center a few days later. Opie responds saying, as a nurse, I know it's one of the hardest things to do when you're struggling with that and you're proof of it. You yourself said you hung on until after your son walked that stage. My cousin, who had been perfectly fine the days I saw her, was a complete mess when I went over after she called me. I still couldn't believe she was struggling. She wouldn't let me into her apartment. She met me on the curb. I'm hoping she'll let me access to her apartment. I want to clean it for her before she comes home so she has a clean slate to walk into. It's been really hard because the family is so preoccupied with the wedding now. My cousin is safe inpatient somewhere. It's almost like they've completely forgotten her, which I'm trying to keep in perspective, that they're just trying to keep the focus on Laura because, as she has put it, has spent a lot of money on this wedding and it won't be squandered by this ordeal. Honestly, I don't even want to be in this wedding anymore. A commenter says, if my sister was constantly belittling me, demeaning me, telling me how much she resented my presence, I'd probably hit the bottle a little harder too. Laura is an arsehole, and I'd have a hard time showing up for her. Opie replies in, I think my cousin had a lot going on, but this definitely didn't make it any better. She heard the comments being made, whether it was first hand, second hand. I could tell after talking to her, it devastated her. Another commenter says, Laura sounds incredibly self-centered. What's more important, her wedding, which is no way impacted by this, or her sister's health and future? Her selfishness will bite her in the ass one of these days. Opie says she doesn't seem to think so. She believes she's entirely in the right and is even upset that the family had anything to do with supporting my little cousin, or she was the one getting married. She genuinely feels her sister should have waited and that the entire attention has been taken off of her. Meanwhile, her in-laws purchased her and their new son a house in an up-and-coming development. So, OP goes on to say, my family has been nothing but supportive of her getting help. It's just now that she's essentially somewhere safe for 30 days that they're honestly just going on with life as it is, including the wedding, which I guess I don't blame them. Honestly, it's Laura's stance that bothers me the most. I'm thinking of stepping back from the wedding. The real sad part for me in this is that the younger sister spent a load of the story trying not to make life harder for Laura. She offered to step down as bridesmaid because she knew she wasn't really wanted, and she even admitted she'd been trying to hold on until after the wedding before finally accepting that she needed rehab. And Laura's attitude is just absolutely bizarre. She still got what she wanted. She still had a bachelorette. She was still the center of attention. Yet her own sister was needing help and she wasn't able to support that. And in some ways, she was making comments about not being able to handle her drink. Bloody hell. I'm just so glad that OP in this situation had her corner. But OP did come in with an update and said, so I have an update and it's insane. To start, the wedding has been cancelled. Laura's fiance Thomas, or Tom, called off the wedding and moved out and in with his best man until he finds a new place. According to my mother, who is Laura's mum's sister, my aunt Rebecca, said that Laura has been raising such a fuss about my LC, little cousin, to the point that her fiance spoke up in her sister's defense. Laura then apparently accused Tom of cheating, or at the very least had feelings for her sister. After hearing this, Tom stayed with his best man and he must have talked some sense into Tom. He must have realized that this wasn't just wedding stress and probably couldn't wrap his head around how Laura has been being so selfish, and then accused him of something so absurd. Laura's mum has been overwhelmed with calling all the vendors and venue about cancelling. It's been an absolute shit show according to my mum. I personally don't blame Tom for walking away. He probably dodged a bullet. I love my cousin because she's family, but I don't like her as a person with how she's been with my little cousin and her struggles and asking for help. Laura called me and left a voicemail, but I haven't called her back. Bride is furious now with me. So I listened to the voicemail and I don't know how to respond to my cousin. She said, Shannon, I need to talk to you. I hear you were the one who made my sister come forward about her drinking. Do you really think making her come forward just weeks before my wedding was necessary? This could have all been avoided had you just butted out and not made a big deal out of something that wasn't. You know what? Don't even bother calling me back. I have nothing more to say to you, you effing B. How do I respond to this? I also got a letter from my little cousin. She's doing much better and doing well in treatment. She asked if I'd be involved in a family session. I think this is where I'll suggest her moving in with me or gauge if it's a good idea or not. And all of the comments, and what I would say as well, is you simply just do not respond to that kind of behavior. It's not going to change. She never thinks she's going to be wrong. You ain't going to change anything. Just support your cousin where you can, like you're doing, which I think is absolutely amazing of you, by the way, and crack on with life. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if you was OP? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is a multiple parter. Other parts may have been covered before. You may have heard it on other channels here, wherever, but there is a new part to it as well. So if you want to skip certain parts of it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. This initially started 8 months ago from Substantial by 4881 and says, am I the arsehole for telling my sister we were strangers after she eloped and broke all contact with us years ago? Apologies in advance if this post seems disorganized. My head is still reeling from all this. 9 years ago, I was 18 then, my older sister eloped with her then boyfriend. Our parents, were an immigrant family, were vehemently opposed to a relationship. I remember being okay with it personally. It wasn't my place. She eloped with her boyfriend and cut off all contact with us. My parents were beside themselves. I tried reaching out to her back then on different platforms but was blocked. I even reached out to her best friends and asked them if they could at least get me in touch with her. They said they didn't know where she lived now, but that she had told them she was happy. She had also left her workplace. Eventually, me and my parents came to an unspoken agreement to pretend she was never here, and I blocked her everywhere too. I remember being extra particular to call regularly when I was in college because I was worried about their state of mind. We're now at a place where I can't remember the last time she crossed our minds. Yesterday, my sister knocked on my apartment door. She cried and hugged me when she saw me. I hugged her back initially too. I wasn't really thinking at the time. She was just going on about how much I had changed, how much she had missed me all these years. Eventually I kind of remembered everything and asked her why she was here and who had given her my address. She said she had swore to them that she wouldn't tell. I asked her why didn't she call first, since whoever gave my address probably gave my number too. She said she just wanted to see me in person. I told her we'd gotten over her. Why was she here? She said her issue had only been with our parents, not me. I told her about how I'd been blocked too by her when she left. She told me she was sorry she had hurt me, but that she had wanted a fresh start. Told me I was an uncle to a nephew and a niece. They weren't there at the time. They were at their father's, they recently divorced. She acted surprised that I wouldn't know. Said she had told someone to tell our parents about them. Maybe it was hearing about the divorce that frustrated me more, because if we were going to have gone through all this pain, at least she could have found lasting happiness. I just told her she was a stranger to me now. She said we could have lunch together. She wanted to know all about what I'd been up to. I told her it was best if we continued to have no contact. She didn't act like an older sister when I needed her to, and that we were no longer family. We'd mourned her already and we were now strangers. She was tearful. She gave me her address and phone number and left. Last night I spoke to my girlfriend about what had happened. She said she was still my sister, that I shouldn't have just turned her away. I told her she didn't know what we'd gone through in the days after she had eloped, but I still wanted to know here. Am I the arsehole? So there was lots of questions about what was going on in the background. Maybe she had a legit reason to leave. One of the top commenters says, I have a sister that I had zero interaction with for more than 30 years. She reached out to me after our mother's death in 2018. We just went different paths in life. I have zero in common with her other than sharing a bio mother. I wished her well in life but told her no, that ship had sailed. Obviously she threw a fit which just confirmed my no. What your sister did was unfair to you. Makes me wonder if he was controlling her or if this is who she is. Not the arsehole. Corfiz replies to that saying, I was in OP's shoes too. My sister cut us all off when she joined a sort of cult. We took a lot of mental damage and it took us more than a decade to get over it. When she had a kid, she got a little into contact, mainly to get money from my parents. Since then, there's been an annoying pattern of her getting closer, then withdrawing again and verbally and emotionally cudgeling us on the head. If it was me, I'd just cut her off, but my mum, who she actually treated the worst, can't bear to do it. OP, I don't know what Sis's long-term plans are. She probably needs money and a babysitter, but you'd probably save yourself a lot of heartache if you kept her no contact. But you can't make that choice for your parents, in case she decides to try them next. So OP comes in with their first update and says, Hi, thanks a lot to everyone for the support in my post and to those who reached out for support. I've been emotionally drained almost after meeting my sister. Like I said, I'd made my peace after a lot of hurt and futile hope that I would ever see her again. She had my number and I hadn't blocked the new numbers of hers. I'd thought about it and received advice too, but I just didn't. It slipped from my mind. She asked me on Tuesday how I was doing and asked if we could meet on Wednesday. She really wanted me to meet her kids. I was really conflicted. I didn't want to oblige her, but I decided to say yes to at least meet them. I went to her apartment yesterday and met my niece and nephew. My niece had recently turned 9 and my nephew is 6. They're great kids and I really enjoyed seeing them. I remember feeling a certain way when my sister was introducing me and she told him that the way he's my niece's younger brother. Similarly, I'm her younger brother. We talked a bit and started talking about stories from us growing up. I hadn't and still haven't said everything's okay between us, but our stories and conversation went smoothly. I learned that after she eloped and got married, she'd moved in with her husband into his place in a town a few hours away from us. That around 2019 that they had moved to the city that we're currently in. According to her, she didn't know all this time that I later moved here for work after college too. I told her about what I've been up to all these years, my college, my job, my girlfriend, etc. After that, the kids were in their room and my sister brought up us all doing something again over the weekend. I told her we weren't okay. She can't expect me to forget everything. She said she was sorry for her moving out, had nothing to do with me, that she missed me. I was angry at the fact that she had no idea the pain I'd gone through both personally, then having to be the crutch for my parents' pain. I told her I didn't believe her, that she would have perfectly been fine with never seeing me again if she hadn't gotten divorced. That I could have been dead and she probably would have broken a sweat upon learning it since she was so blissed out from her domestic life. I know it was ugly. I've never said anything like this, but in that moment I just wanted her to feel some kind of hurt of the kind she'd given me. She broke down and said, I can hate her if I want, but to just not hate her forever. There has to be a limit. I regretted saying what I said when I saw her crying, so I just sat next to her and asked about why they'd divorced. She told me that their life had been going alright for the first few years. She said she'd even sent word through a mutual when the kids were born, which either the mutual messed up or my sister didn't because we never heard about it. She said when COVID happened, her marriage became hell for her, that it had uncovered a side of her ex she never knew. Became abusive, had disdain for their son, revealed he used to record every single conversation of theirs, had convinced her she was crazy and a bad wife and mother. That stuck with him because of the kids until she had enough. That a very good neighbor of theirs, whom she had become friends with, gave her a lot of support and even helped line her up with a job. During all this, she even blamed our parents for her sticking with a marriage for so long and for not reaching out. I told her they had literally pleaded with her not to do this. I was there. I was 18, not 8. She said they told her she was dead to them if she ran off with him, and so she blamed them for her not being able to leave him. I told her that was insane logic, and she just didn't want to talk about them, and asked me not to tell them about her. I said yeah, her relationship with them is her own. I also asked her who had given her my address. She begged me not to ask her that, and that they hadn't given it easily. She had had to swear secrecy and cry and convince them that I'd want to see my older sister, so I dropped it. We had tea and snacks after that, and she asked me again if I wanted to do anything this weekend since she has the kids, or we could do something that weekend after just the two of us. I said I don't know. She was okay with that answer. She was tearful again when I was leaving. We hugged and I hugged the kids goodbye too. My mind has been a mess since then. I lashed out and everything, but also regret what I said. But then I also try to remember how I had felt back then, and then get angry again. It feels so weird knowing that she's now 20 minutes away from me, and we can visit whenever. I told my girlfriend about all this. She said she supports me no matter what, but in her opinion to consider the weekend plan with a cool mind. This got long. I apologize, but I've been trying to collect my own thoughts on this, and writing this just seemed to help. Thanks for the help. Within the same post, Opie updates again and says, "Hi. I've been getting a lot of moral support and advice from a lot of people here, which I appreciate. A few people had asked about how things have gone, so I told my sister I couldn't spend Thanksgiving weekend with her, partly because maybe I still wasn't in the right headspace for something like that, and also because I had to go to my parents for that weekend, and normally when I go there, I usually end up staying over for the entire weekend." She said okay, asked me not to tell them that she was back in my life. I said fine, it wasn't my place, and besides, my parents had come to terms with her absence a while back. It was a bit surreal for sure to be with my parents and have this secret with me. We were spending the weekend like a complete family while my sister was at her apartment knowing this was weird. When I was back, she asked if I wanted to hang out next weekend, the one just passed. Her kids would be with their dad so the two of us could hang out. I know what a lot of commenters had said. I appreciate all their advice, but I tried to clear my head and my girlfriend had told me to just do whatever makes me happy. I did think about it and honestly decided that hanging out with her on Saturday would make me happier than not doing it. It wasn't about her, it was for myself, so I went to her apartment on Saturday. She asked me how our parents were doing. I said they were doing well now. Since she was the one who mentioned them, I asked her if she wanted to reconnect with them. It might be better for both her and maybe them, but she said no, and just repeated that line about them saying she was dead to them. It was clearly something said in the heat of the moment, but I didn't push her on it again. We just went to the mall, bought some clothes, then had dinner at our place and watched a movie. It was a light hangout in general. The conversation flowed smoothly. It obviously wasn't like it used to be, partly because I still keep thinking about how I felt when she had left us, about how I had to support our parents emotionally in the aftermath, and partly because she's changed a bit. She's a lot more anxious and nervous now than I remember her. But in general, it was a chill hangout. I did bring up that I'd like to know who gave her my address, that at this point I didn't regret that they had given it to her, but still, they shouldn't do that. She got defensive and begged me not to ask her that they hadn't just given it easily. She had had to plead and cry and promise that she'd take a rejection if that's what I did, and that she had sworn secrecy. So again, I dropped it. It's whatever, I guess. I left and said we'll meet up again soon. I'd received a lot of comments saying I was stupid, that I had no self-esteem, that I was being used. I just would like you to understand that this isn't an abstract concept for me like it might be for you. This is my sister, the same sister who I grew up with, who helped me with school projects and helped me out in a ton of ways when I was growing up. And yes, the same sister who ghosted us for 9 years. I'm still angry about that, but like I said, I'm doing what I want for myself, not out of some guilt now. And look, so far I'm down a Subway fare's worth of dollars to visit her in a few hours at the mall. I'm fine with that loss. If after all this she ups and ghosts me again in the future for whatever reason, I've made peace with that. And may we all get what we deserve in that case. Thank you for all the help. So on the back of that update, there was a lot of people just talking about how they're unhappy, how she's immediately pushing you to meet the kids, meet up all the time. It's a bit much. Other people were OP. If they're in the right headspace for this and they're prepared that she might just up and leave again, then go for it. But then OP comes in with another update and says a few people have asked how things were going. I've taken a bit of a break because it's just complicated and I felt asking others' input was hurting more than helping. My sister and her kids and I had been meeting up whenever we could find time, and it was enriching. I liked that we were spending time regardless of a lot of feedback saying I was being had. I went to my parents for Christmas and New Year's holidays. During that period, there'd been a couple of gatherings with the entire family, uncles and aunts and cousins. It was in those gatherings, I guess, that I contextualized the extent to which my sister's actions had affected our family. All the other families were full, all siblings and kids, some of them with their spouses and young kids of their own. Ours was torn, and the entire extended family would still walk on eggshells sometimes. None of my cousins had to listen to their mum cry about their estranged sister while in college, studying for exams and midterms and whatnot. I also realized I'd been lying by omission to my parents about something huge, the whereabouts of their daughter, whom they still love and worry about. My relationship with them is the one that had sustained and withstood. So a couple of weeks ago, I told my sister as much, that asking me to keep a secret like this wasn't fair. I was kind about it. I didn't lash out, didn't try to make her feel bad about everything we'd been put through. She was the one who got heated, saying our parents had told her she was dead to them, that she was facing hell while they had left her to die. I then brought up that they were the ones who did their best to prevent her from ending up in that situation, and she was the one who had left because she thought she knew better, because she cared more about her boyfriend than her entire family, whom she cut contact with. She didn't budge on not talking to our parents, and I too said that we can't be talking then. I'm not risking a staple relationship for one that had proved to be flaky, that may have crossed a line because that led to tears. We didn't tell my niece and nephew that I won't be seeing them for a while. I don't know what she's going to explain to them. It's painful for me too. Since then, my sister hadn't said anything on text, just sent pictures or videos, like she was already doing, of the kids or what was made for dinner a few times. I've heart reacted but said nothing either. I do hope we can come to a resolution on her end and the kids get to be close to their uncle and their grandparents. The top commenter on this one said, "Your sister is selfish and put you in an impossible situation. She wants a relationship after what she did, but still on her terms. She doesn't get to dictate anything after what she did to you and your family. Now it's all blown up in her face, she's happy to let you back in her life. Ask her if she was still with her husband. Would she even bother trying to connect with you? I seriously doubt it, OP." So that last update was 6 months ago, and now more recently, 2026, July, OP comes in again and says, "Hi, I thought I'd give an update. I was planning on giving one around a few weeks back, but like a much more positive one, but it didn't really end up in a good place. In May, I did end up seeing my sister and her kids again because it was my nephew's birthday. My sister and I had been communicating on text and she'd been sending videos but not in person. We celebrated his birthday and I gave him his present. We ate cake, wore our party hats and everything. When we were alone, she asked me how I'd been. When I told her I'd seen my parents the week before, that I go there regularly, she was good with that and said that was good that I did that regularly. She asked how they were doing. I thought that since they didn't know about her, she shouldn't be asking either and said as much. She got really heated, maybe for the first time since we reconnected, said I had no right to withhold information about them. I was genuinely struck by the hypocrisy. She said they were the ones who pronounced her dead. She didn't pronounce them dead. We argued, I held my line. I told her if she wants to see them, have the kids know their grandparents. She has to tell them. She can settle her issues with them at her own pace, but at least tell them. She repeated that line again about them saying she was dead to them. I said if she's going to take it to heart rather than the outburst it was, then she can't ask for updates on how they're doing. The dead don't do that. We changed the topic because the kids were playing. A couple of weeks later, she called me to ask them to call her. I spoke to her about how we couldn't have them know that I'd known for so long, it would shatter them. She thankfully agreed and said she'd tell the kids too, to say they met a few days ago. I told my parents that she'd come to my place a few days ago, that she was divorced and had 2 kids. My mum started crying on the phone and having difficulty breathing. They ended up calling her. She didn't tell them her address but was meeting them the next day and I was going too. I was going to update then actually. I thought my sister and my parents could reconcile and it seemed like they did first. My sister collapsed into my mum's arms. They were gentle. They were in love with her kids. I later took the kids to KFC for a light mood while my sister and parents reconnected. When we came back, the mood was different. My sister was arguing with them, saying that every day of abuse she went through was because they had orphaned her. My parents said they knew he was not worthy of her, but my sister wasn't listening to that. She soon just wanted to leave. Since then, my sister and my parents have been in contact. They have visited her place and she has gone to theirs, but just goes to her room while my parents spend time with their kids. We did spend last weekend at my parents', and it's still the same thing. This will be my last time posting here about this, and thanks to everyone who helped me navigate this. And a lot of people in the comments just talking about how the sister's not taking any accountability for her part in this as well, just focusing on the "you're dead to me" comment. But for me, I really just felt for OP all the way through this, almost like stuck in the middle, and it come across as a really hard place to be, because if the parents find out, well, they turn on OP, whilst the sister's saying you can't tell them about me, whilst also asking for information about the parents at the same time. It just felt incredibly unfair on OP, and I think they dealt with it probably in the best way that they could in those moments. OP did say this is going to be their last post on the matter, but it would be interesting to see if the parents actually do reconnect with her after some time and how those relationships do form, if they do. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and just a huge thank you for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care. And much love.